There are three very basic fundamentals to winning games in World of Tanks Blitz, and I would hope all of you do this as it is. The first one is, of course, reading the enemy lineup. If you read their lineup and you see what tanks they're running, it gives you a great idea of where to position your tank accordingly. The second is knowing where to put your tank specifically on that map. And this kind of goes with point 3 as well, knowing how to run the specific vehicle you're driving. So a good example of this would be the TS5. The TS5 is absolutely nothing like the T28 prototype, the T28 Defender, or even the T28. And because of that, you have to know how to specifically run each tank in your garage, how reading the enemy lineup is going to help you, and then you use that information of reading the enemy lineup, what tank you're using, the advantages and disadvantages of the positioning on that specific map you're on. And that is how you win, is you put all three of those evidences together, should I say, and when you combine them, boom, you got yourself a synopsis on how to win a battle. But we're not going to be talking about that in today's video. We are going to be talking about how to win clutch games. Now, clutch games can happen in any array of vehicles, and in fact, you're going to see me win a clutch game here in the TS5. Now, the TS5 is a vehicle that I started off a little bit rocky on. I didn't enjoy it because the lower plate, sure, while it is about 200 millimeters thick, it's a massive lower plate, as you can see. It basically says shoot me. So because of that, very, very easy to penetrate. It's also got that cupola on the roof, and that's why I really hadn't been enjoying the TS5, is because it's so weak if you know how to take care of it. However, if you learn how to run a vehicle like this, even though it's very immobile, its gun is incredibly inaccurate for a tank destroyer at 0.344 dispersion, I started to understand this tank's playstyle. I started to realize, okay, so you can't run this thing aggressively frontline, but you can run it midline. And when you're running it midline, if you know how to work it correctly, it does a very, very solid job at that, just like any other tank destroyer with similar characteristics would perform. In my opinion, I think the T28 can do just as solid of a job as this tank did in this battle. Now, the TS5 has one great thing going for it, and that is the gun. While its accuracy is quite doo-doo, its penetration is actually fantastic. It's sitting at about 271 on the standard because I'm running calibrated, and 374 on the premium. Now that means that basically all armor is negated. Now you'll notice right off the beginning, I've already used the first point of evidence that I said before to know what the enemy team is going to be doing. I've read their lineup. I see they've got an Emil 2, they've got an E50, they got a Waffle. Looking at the tanks they have and the way my team went, you usually predict that something's going to be crossing right to where I shot that Emil 2. So I just waited. Even though my tank's not very fast, it's a very short amount of distance I had to cover to get to where I was at. Much shorter than that Emil 2 had to drive all the way around and come through to get to mid. So that's one way you can always catch people off guard. And I knew that because even though my tank was slow, I was still quick enough to catch one of their slower tanks as well off guard. So we're already sitting at 700 damage, and boom, there you go, another nice tap there. 1027 damage already pulled out. Now nothing spectacular is going on in this game so far. One thing I actually didn't notice is that the enemy Waffle was right in front of me. Yeah, I got very, very lucky that I bounced that shell. You can see he went right onto the lower part of this vehicle, and because of that, he managed to bounce. Now in this scenario here, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I can either pull forwards, try and aim at that Waffle, or back up. Now trading with a Waffle is a terrible idea. I see that most of my team is dealing with the front, so I want to try and deal with the tanks in the back. We got an E50 over here, and there's also been vehicles like the ISU 152 that haven't, oh yes they have been detected. Now I know that this ISU has to drive all the way over the hill to shoot me, and because he didn't, he missed. Now that's great for me, because judging that he missed his shot, I don't have to worry. Now, sadly, that's the terrible TS5 accuracy there, but you're starting to see this team is getting very, very enveloped in enemy tanks. If that ISU had driven over the hill to shoot me, he would have lost definitely 800 hit points, and with that, the ISU would have been a one-shot. So I took an educated guess, should I say there, and hoped that even if the ISU poked me, he would pretty much lose his entire hit point pool to get away with shooting me. Now already, we're doing pretty solid. Again, I'm just poking this Centurion Mark 5-1. I want to get this guy shot. Now this is the moment where you got to start thinking, what am I going to do? This player is obviously trying to flank me. And I had the choice of either pulling forwards and trying to scrape him off the side or backing up. And I was thinking, okay, he's not going to be able to get around me here. You can clearly see he's just not going to be able to get around me. So I'm going to push my tank inside the building to where this Mark 1 will not be able to shoot me. And with that, I've also got myself cover from a vehicle like the E50 or the ISU if they wanted to shoot me, and cover from the Waffle on the rear. This is how you always want to have smart ideas, because, of course, when you're watching a replay, you might just think, well, you got lucky, but when I'm in the middle of a battle here, I am very, very clearly trying to think of a possible route I can still win. Because in this battle here, even though it looks very, very dire, this was a win, believe it or not, because I was able to position my tank in a spot where I knew that I could work it well. That defender managed to... That's not a defender. I'm always calling them Defender Mark 1, but no, that Centurion managed to bounce me. I've got this eye streaming at me, and even though he did pen me with one of the dumbest shells ever, you can see he just barely scraped me, and because of that, it went right through. We're already sitting at 3,400 damage, and again, a clutch moment here. You'll notice I instantly took the moment to ram that waffle, and I was in VC with my friend at this moment, and I said, I'm going to ram the waffle. These are those clutch moments you need to instantly be able to make a quick decision on. I know that my upper superstructure is insanely strong, and a player like this waffle might make that mistake of shooting at that superstructure other than trying to hit my lower plate or the cupola. Because that player did that, there's no other real threat to me here. Sure, that Centurion is a threat, but he has 190 alpha and he's shooting premium, so it's going to take him at least 2 shells to kill me. Off to the other side, the ISU was cleared, so I don't even need to worry about him, and the E50, which you'll also notice, is being distracted by the IS-8. So right now, I've made the correct move. I'm going for the waffle, and I'm tracked, actually, if you'll notice, but I really need to clear this Centurion. So I purposely try and get a shell into that Centurion there. Boom. Finish him off, and now we've got the waffle again. I'm face-hugging this player. I'm trying to make sure that no matter what, this waffle is not going to get my lower plate. And again, he hits me right in the superstructure. Now, you'll notice this take is not very fast, and I did get lucky that he didn't aim a little bit longer because he probably could have hit me. But with that, we did 4,731 damage and blocked 4,360 damage as well. That's great. You can see just where a vehicle that is very average. I made my review on this tank, and I still very strongly stand by that. This is an average tank. There's nothing spectacular about it. Well, sure, you could argue the gun's great, but it's very bad on accuracy. Its lower plate is extremely weak. However, just because it has very big disadvantages going for it does not mean it's a bad tank. In fact, I've been playing this tank plus the Turtle Mark 1 quite a bit today, and I did very well in both of the vehicles. It's an incredibly strong tank because of that good gun. And this game here, this wasn't anything special, but I just figured, you know what, I'll throw in a second game here just in case any of you wanted to see how the TS5 plays, what you should do against it. Yeah, I'll just show this anyway while I do talk about those clutch scenarios. But that was just one out of hundreds, maybe even thousands of clutch games I've had in my Blitz career. And you'll always notice in that gameplay, there was not a single moment where I stopped there for a second and I thought about what was going on. You have to instantly make those on the flip of a switch what is going to happen, because if you can't make an educated decision, if you're sitting there and that, you know, Centurion is starting to flank you and you're starting to think, well, shoot, you've got to instantly realize, okay, this guy's trying to flank me. Where is the best spot to get this guy off? Not only getting him off of me, but as well making sure that the enemy team isn't going to have easy shots at me. And that is why I purposely went inside that building. It was just perfect that I was there. And that's one thing you always want to do in turretless tank destroyers in specific, is have an idea. I had that idea in my mind way before that guy even started to flank me, because I expected him to try and get to the side of me. I'm going to be honest. The tank is not very fast, and because of that, players will try and take advantage of your weaknesses. There's that wonderful dispersion again, but because of that, I already had an idea in my mind where I was going to back up. I was either going to pull forwards or I was going to go to that building, and I think I made the right decision there. It definitely paid off. Now this T-2064, he's learning what DPM does. Boom, bang, and bam. 1,288 hit points taken off of that player. Again, that's where this insane gun works to play. Now, this is just a good example of how you want to really capitalize on your tank's strength. Now, this T-2065 has about 2,600 DPM or so, maybe not 26, but around 25. And because of that, I actually know I have basically the same reload as that tank. So I can trade shot for shot with him here, and I should actually be doing pretty dang solid. So here he goes again, poking it, and boom, another nice shot. You can see, though, he's going right through my lower plate, right through the superstructure. It is a very easy tank to pen, and on flat grounds like this, it's quite easy. But you'll notice I'm just trading with this guy. We're almost at 3,000 damage already. He was thinking about it. He was probably thinking, do I want to poke this guy again? But Yeah, I doubt he really wanted to make that mistake once again. But here's the waffle, and I'm trying to... Not the waffle, the Borsig. You can see I'm trying to angle my tank. Thankfully, he shoots the spaced armor. The lower plate on this vehicle, actually, at an angle like this, is very, very thick. Probably about 230-ish millimeters. And because of that, you can get some very, very good bounces. Again, try and aim it on that T-2065, but just not able to get that shell out. Now, right now, I was thinking, okay, do I want to shoot that T-2065 when he had poked, or kill the RHM? Now, I could have killed the RHM, but if I'd done that, the E5 would have shot me in the side, and it would have taken about, probably just about half my hit points off, if he high rolled slightly. Now, do I want to have the choice of losing half of my hit points, making myself a one-shot to basically every tank in the enemy team, or waiting for the RHM to pull around the corner? Well, I waited, and he made the mistake, and there you have it. Now, in this moment, I was thinking that somebody was going to come up behind me. This is where you want to play World of Tanks Blitz like a chess game. And this is one thing I always say in any of my videos on how to get better, is you need to think 2-3 steps ahead of your enemy opponents. I haven't seen that charioteer basically since I shot him all the way back here. So because of that, I'm thinking, well, is that charioteer going to come up behind me? I can't afford to have a charioteer come up behind me. So I'm just double checking, trying to spot around this corner. Is that charioteer here? No. No, he's not. He's spotted off to the side. You never, ever want to, second guess yourself. You want to come with a clear decision and just go with it. I was really worried that somebody was going to come up behind me before that tiger was spotted, so I made the idea. I was like, all right, we're going to keep an eye on what's going up behind me. But now I put on my adrenaline, and this tiger, oh, baby, he's in a world of hurt. There's 2 shells into his track wheel. And with that, we're at 4,891 damage in the TS5, and bang! There you go, 5,020 damage dealt with this vehicle. You can see how I purposely played this tank in a scenario, again, where it would very, very well suitedly go for the tank. This is my first 2 times I think I mastered the vehicle, if I'm not mistaken. I think I only have 2 masteries in it, yeah. So those 2 games are the only games I've mastered in the tank. I actually have started to enjoy it a bit more. I've learned how to play it. And these are just a little bit of the things I would suggest to do if you would really like to win clutch games. You need to know where to position your tank. You always have to have an idea behind your mind. What am I going to do when things go south? Now, of course, a lot of people always ask, well, why don't you show us games where things really do go south? Like that first game, but it's a defeat, and you tried your living best to win. Well, the reason I don't show those is because basically, if you're going to lose a game, even if you try your best, there's no point in trying in the first place to make a video on it, because this is one thing I always say: if your team sucks and you've got a terrible team and they die all in the beginning, there ain't nothing you're going to do to bring it back. So at that point, try and just farm damage. Don't worry about helping your teammates. Don't worry about anything else but strictly getting as much damage as possible. That way, when you win a game, maybe if you don't do the best win, you do 2,000 on a tier 10 win, because you did 4,000 or 3,000 in your loss, you're still sitting very high and mighty on your average damage. Hopefully, all of you enjoyed today's video. If you would like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But since it is 3:21 in the morning, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to have a bowl of cereal. And yeah, call it a night. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.